With me now is John Boscariol, lawyer and leader, International Trade and Investment Law Group. John, thanks so much for your time. How realistic is it to expect meaningful progress by the end of today, and the key sticking points that could still push this timeline beyond that?
Well, listen, Scott, this is not unusual to have all of this come down to the wire as we grind ahead with negotiations. We've seen this in the past where at the last minute, some kind of resolution or postponement is announced by the Trump administration or its adversaries. As we just heard from your report, there are so many balls up in the air right now, so many moving parts here, including the fact that you've got the court cases ongoing in the U.S. The U.S. administration has just negotiated deals with Japan, South Korea, European Union. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a similar postponement that was just announced with respect to Mexico. But at the same time, we had Prime Minister Carney announce recognition of Palestinian statehood, which unsurprisingly may have upset Trump. So that goes into the equation as well. So it becomes very difficult to anticipate what's about to happen, but I do expect we're going to get some announcement within the next 24 hours.
And what about retaliatory measures here that Canada could impose? Talk to us about the legal and strategic considerations that Canadian exporters and government negotiators should be aware of.
Well, Canada has retaliated already with duties. We haven't retaliated to the increase in the steel and aluminum tariffs. So you may recall about a month or so ago, the U.S. increased those tariffs from 25 to 50%. Canada kept its powder dry and did not retaliate in respect of that. That opportunity for further retaliation may now come if we don't reach a deal or some kind of agreed to postponement of the negotiations by tomorrow. I think for Canadian exporters, obviously, this isn't the greatest of news right now in terms of the latest developments. I know a number of them are looking to diversify. That's something that's done more in the medium and long term. So it is quite challenging for them at this time.
And ultimately, the latest wrinkle just in the last half an hour or so, learning that there's been a postponement with Mexico on the increase of those tariffs there. Does this increase the pressure on Canadian officials to either reach a deal or get another postponement?
I believe it does. Mexico is a special trading partner of the United States in that it's part of the North American Free Trade Agreement, now the CUSMA, as we call it. And so the expectation would be that Canada is at least in a similar position and could negotiate some kind of postponement like that. I think what we'd really be looking for, if something is announced within the next 24 hours, is assurance that the existing exemption for goods that originate under the CUSMA, which is the majority of Canadian goods that are exported to the United States, that continues. And regardless of whether it's a postponement or some kind of deal, we can continue to export duty-free to the United States. And then in respect of steel and aluminum products and cars, we hope to see some kind of progress there where we deal with those tariffs that have been imposed by Trump. We know that copper is now coming down the line. There are other sector-specific tariffs for trucks and truck parts, aircraft and engines, all of those under Section 232, like the aluminum and steel. Those are also coming down the line. And so hopefully we're going to see some kind of resolution or perhaps even exemption for Canada from those tariffs.
One thing we heard from the Prime Minister more recently, as we got closer and closer to this August 1st deadline, is talk of a good deal versus an immediate deal. But if we get past this August 1st deadline and businesses start to suffer more and put more pressure on the government, how important is that trade-off between a deal right now and a good deal, a better deal for Canada?
I think it's a bit of a smokescreen to try and make those distinctions at this point, and there are probably political reasons for expressing it that way. I think any deal the Canadian government's going to reach, they're going to be calling it a good deal.
Sure.
And there will, with that deal, there very well may be some sacrifices they have to make. Not, for example, on supply management. We won't give up the entire supply management system, but we may tweak it a bit to open it up a little more to the United States. So there's going to be those kinds of steps the Canadian government will take, and it will be characterized as a good deal. I can't imagine the Canadian government at this point is going to negotiate something that would be harmful. I think they're ideally, given what's happened with Mexico, given that U.S. attention has been largely focused on negotiating with the EU, Japan, UK, South Korea, we'd probably see a postponement, at least the maintenance of the status quo at this point.
Well, in the meantime, that August 1st deadline is just hours away. John Boscariol, lawyer and leader at the International Trade and Investment Law Group. Thanks so much for your time and insight today. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Scott.